So we're just getting started here. If you're in the room, say hey, let me know that you're here. And I'm going to continue inviting people in. For those who don't know me, I'm Aisha Adams. I am the blogger behind Nappy Thoughts, the founder of Equity Over Everything, and the new program developer for the Lenore Ryan Diversity and Equity Institute. So I'm super excited to be here with you today. And this series, what I want my white friends to know, is my direct action response to the death of Breonna Taylor, the death of George Floyd, and the uprisings that have happened. And we've continued on. I feel like a lot of the passion around the conversation of anti-racism has started to die down, but we are still pressing forward and moving forward. So happy Friday, Molly. Hey, Vicky. So again, for those who don't know me, my name is Aisha Adams, and I'm just sharing my experience, sharing my educated thoughts as a Black woman with my friends. This is for people who know me, who work with me, who have lunch with me, who care about me, and who are interested in my personal perspective in the world. And if this helps you with your other Black friends, great. But I do have to say that I don't speak for all Black women. We are not a monolith. We all feel different about different things. So I want to talk about today, what's the difference between being a woman of color, being African American, and being Black. So I get this question quite a lot because I do the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusivity Institute. So people ask me this question like, what do you all want to be called? And so it's a really interesting question because it implies that all Black women, brown women, or women who have melanin are all from the same lineage, or that we all come from the exact same way and we all got here the same way. And it's just not true. We are all different, and we all have diverse backgrounds that lead to our identity, and our identity is complex due to slavery, oppression, racism, and so our identity is convoluted in a lot of ways. So first of all, what inspired me to write this article was I noticed yesterday in the media that all of the media outlets were referring to Kamala Harris as a woman of color. And because I'm in media, of course, a media outlet reached out to me and asked me my thoughts. And so one of my big things was putting in there that she's a Black woman. Because for me, I think it's important for us to understand what it means to be Black in America and what that really means. So, okay. So let's see how we can unpack this. I should have wrote notes. I don't have notes, so we're free winging it today. But here's what I want to tell you. I'm not a woman of color. I don't consider myself African American. I consider myself to be Black. And before any of my Black friends and family are upset with me about saying that I'm not African American, please let me explain. I am not denouncing my roots from Africa. I am not denying that Africa is the center of civilization. It is the motherland from which we all come from. And because I have melanin and I live in America, I understand that some people will identify me as African American, and I would say that they would be incorrect. Okay? I am a Black American, which means I am an American. I was born in Albany, Georgia, to American parents who happen to also be Black. So I am a Black American. I've never been to Africa. I don't know any of my relatives from Africa. I am in love with the culture, in love with the continent of Africa. I know all 54 countries in Africa. And I am amazed at the vastness of history and how my lineage can be traced back there. But I am an American, meaning you owe me every inalienable right. I have just as much right to be here as anybody who does not have melanin in their skin. I am not even first generation American or second generation American or third generation American. I am like full-blooded American, okay? So when you speak to me, you should address me as an American, please. And you should acknowledge my experience in America with melanin as a Black woman. So I can be Black as fuck. I can be bliggity bliggity black, blackity black, black, but I cannot be a woman of color because I don't even know what that means. And I cannot be African American because I have friends that are African American and they have been to the continent of Africa, you know, and they have the culture of Africa within them. And their grandparents and cousins are in Africa. They speak French or Swahili. Miriam is African American. Miriam is from an African country and now she is an American. Okay? That's African American. Those of us whose direct ancestors were slaves, we are American. This is our country and we are American. Okay? So I say all of that to say that when you address me as a woman of color and I give you the side eye, it is because I don't even really know what that means. And when you say that I'm African American, you're giving me a history that does not belong to me. My history is that in 1492, Columbus came. He was nasty to the Indians. And this system started of slavery, right? Then some time went on, some generations went on, and I popped up. Like, I didn't just come on a boat over here from Africa. I'm not African American. I didn't come over here on a plane. I don't have roots to Ghana or Nigeria or, and it doesn't mean that I don't love African culture or I'm not saying that I am not of African descent. What I'm saying is we use these terms like woman of color and African American to denounce or detract from the fact that we are American. And that being American, there's a certain level of respect, a certain level of rights, a certain societal acceptance that comes with being American in America. And Black women are often shut out of that, or Black people in general, because we're referred to as African American or we're referred to as people of color. And that's just not the case. Like, we are American. We've been in these cities. We've been developing this process with you. We have been developing and cultivating America with you. And we just happen to be American, and there's nothing you can do about it. So you can refer to us as American, or you can refer to us as Black, or you can not refer to us at all. Like, that's how I feel. Like, I am so over all of these little bitty terms. And I have an English degree. Let me say this so that you understand that when I'm talking about the connotation of calling somebody African American or a person of color, I have a degree to back this up. I have an English degree. I've studied words and how meanings change over time and what the connotation is and the denotation is. And so what I'm saying to you is this: there's a divisiveness in calling me a woman of color. There's a divisiveness in calling me an African American. It makes it easier for your racist policies to be upheld. It upholds racism when you don't address me as an American. See, because when you don't address me as an American, it makes it seem like you don't understand me. So that's why I was so upset when they had the garb on, because it makes it easier for people to think that I am different or that I'm not American or that I don't understand. And see, the way that we do things is everything in America is about what you can relate to, right? So they tell you in your marketing, tell your story. They tell you in the classroom to build relationships. And every job I've ever had and every interaction that I've ever had is all about relationship building, right? So if they can make you think that I'm not American, it's easier for you to discriminate against me. It's easier for you to feel like I don't belong here. If they don't tell you that my ancestors built this country, then it's easy for you to deny me access. It's easier to let your white structures rain down on us. It's easy not to have a black holiday. It's easy not to have a black woman sitting at the panel. But when you begin to understand that black women and black men are the fabric of the United States and that we help build this country brick by brick, then it becomes impossible to deny us our history. Impossible to deny us our rights. Impossible to deny us what we need. So just be mindful of the words you choose to use. Remember that all black women don't come from the same place. Being black means we have a shared experience here in America. We are American with a shared experience, right? So I'm Black American. This is my country. I deserve everything that this country has to offer to me. And I am not here by way of being an immigrant. Somebody in my bloodline was kidnapped, and I'm here because I was born in the soil. My mama was born in the soil. Her mama was born in the soil. And that is really, really true. And so to understand that will really start to put into perspective for you how easy it is when you're calling somebody African. Because we already see what they do to Africa, right? On TV, you're going to get you some zebras. You're going to get you some elephants. So it's real easy for you to look at me as being animalistic. I ain't never even been to Africa, and I don't know anything about zebras and elephants. But it's easy for you to do that because you have stereotypes that come with being African that are perpetuated on the television screen. So then when you call me African American, you never been to Africa, so you don't know any African people, and you don't know what an honor it is to be connected to African people because they are a beautiful people, a rich people with a rich history. And so it's like you're dealing with stranger, and then they're telling you that I'm connected to something you've never even met before. Meanwhile, like, I never left Alabama. Like, you know, my experiences and my viewpoint, my lifestyle is being a black girl from the South. I've never even been out of Alabama. Well, I mean, been out of the United States. And yet you call me African American and wear patterns from a different country to acknowledge me. It's disrespectful. I'm an American. And that is really what we really have to try to get to as a people. And so as my white friends, I just want you to know, I don't know what you call your other friends. I don't know what your other friends' lineages and history, but we don't all have the same lineage. We don't all have the same history. I know that might be shocking to some people, but we don't. We come from diverse, and there are people of color of different colors and shades all over the country and in the world. But I'm a Black American, and when I meet other Black women and I'm interested in their histories and their lineage, I like to listen to what they have to say. And then I like to identify them as they choose to be identified. But we really have to understand that when we talk about anti-racism in America, that there's a group of Black Americans, people who've been here their entire lives, right? People who've been there their entire lives. And we're connected to a country we have no connection to. And we are then celebrated in those customs and beliefs instead of our own. And so it's like, it's really important for us to get a grip on history and people and become students of humanity and love each other for who they are. And it's really important for us to really begin to look at, how do we treat Black Americans in this society? Do we just consider them being from Africa and push them over to the side? Do we consider them other? Do we call them women of color? Or do we treat them like the Americans that they are? So that's my TED Talk for today. Let me look at these comments. Thank you for the information, American girl. You know, I just want to be respectful. The terms change all the time and it gets confusing. I like that you're just American because that is the truth. Well, every Black woman here is an American. So I think that is really critical to look at. And Leslie, the definitions change because of media, right? So one time Jesse Jackson started talking about he's African American and Afro-American. It started out as Afro-American, which was different, right? Because it was more like the texture of your hair American, right? And not necessarily like Black American, and then that Afro-American changed to African American. And I have some older magazines. I just don't know where they are in this exact moment. But before we were considered Black people, we were considered Negroes. And so our magazine was Negro World, and then it turned to Black World. But it's never been African American World. It's never been that, because Black people from America acknowledge themselves as being from America. Yep, Deborah, you've been to Africa. Yeah, my nationality, he says Black has no standing in legal law because it's not a nationality. So my nationality is American. Like, this is my nation. This is where all my stuff come from here. So that, I mean, I don't understand what the problem is. So I guess that's it. I love you all. I just want you all to understand that just like as a person who was born in Georgia, who grew up in Alabama, who went to college in Alabama, who's taught across the South, who had her son here in the South and raised him in the South, it's really, really off-putting that I have to explain that I'm an American. It's just, it's insane. It's like really horrible. That's just what I want to say. And I just challenge you to really, truly get to know the fabric of the Black people in your life. Like, really understand where they're coming from and who they are. And really get to know them, and don't lump us all together. I think that's really, you know, the message of today. And then also, as my friends, because I love all of y'all, just make sure in front of me, you never ever call me a woman of color or African American, because I'm going to correct you. Because I'm not. I'm a Black American. I live in America. I'm from America. I help add to the fabric of America every day. And it's really important to be acknowledged as such. So I'm going to get off of here and get back to work, because I got taxes to pay as an American. And I'm going to get out of here. Bye.